The Elive Linux distro is alive after 8 years of hibernation, and it still supports older hardware. Our favorite image editor, GIMP, receives a $100,000 donation, and guess who is spreading the love?
GNOME! And they push out version 3.30, which, after 30 releases, I wonder if this is the good one, and Solus is moving. They've completely revamped their entire infrastructure in the process.
And Jupiter Broadcasting is joining the Linux Academy. Nothing but good is going to come from that. And BIOS, now it's not the 90s anymore, it's readying for a new release. I personally think someone should write a haiku about it. But it's another great day for Linux, everyone. So let's go. Welcome back to Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays, where we sit back, relax, take that midweek break, and talk about some of the fun things we found going on in the world of open source. I'm Vince Stone, that is Jill Bright, and over there, that is one Pedro Mateus.
Hello.
So,
Hello.
What's been going on? Pedro's not been doing anything. If anyone didn't watch that video he made yesterday, that wasn't him.
Aw, it was awesome.
Yeah, no.
We hired a body double. Just a hand model, man. It was very expensive.
It's probably hard to find someone with my particular hand configuration. But yeah, no, it's yesterday. Some of you may have seen the stream where I talked about the Steam box. Don't worry, there'll be a teeny tiny accompanying article very, very soon. It'll have all the pictures and all the benchmarks as usual, so stay tuned.
What's up, Joe?
Well, I had fun again at Monday at Community Hack Night at Riot Games, and the Linux Chicks LA are getting ready for our next meetup, which is learning how to use Git. So I'm looking forward to that. And I also started my fall semester Monday teaching computer animation, and many of my students will be learning Blender, so I'm very excited about that.
Nice.
Awesome.
Not a whole lot going on over here. I had a short-lived company from yesterday until this morning. Stone Acoustics Incorporated. Soundproofing the studio. That was the thing. Stuck that together, and I'm done with that. That's a nightmare. I have insulation, little foamy bits all over the house, and I don't think they're going away anytime soon, which is really irritating, but we'll deal with that. So let's jump right into it with Jupiter Broadcasting. This was earlier this morning. Came out at the Linux Academy blog. Yeah, man, they said, hey, we're so excited to announce that we're joining the Linux Academy team. Linux Academy and Jupiter Broadcasting share a mission to inspire people to follow their passion, learn, explore, and achieve their goals by acquiring new knowledge. This is pretty cool, and I just always wanted to give them a shout out because if you followed the history, you got to know we wouldn't be here in this capacity. Linux Gamecast as itself wouldn't even exist without Jupiter Broadcasting, because way back in the day, like once a year, they would do a gaming show, a gaming edition, and I used to watch that. You know, I watched it for a year, like a second year, and by the third year, I was like, you know what, I'd do it better. I love you, Chris. I'm just joking, kind of. They do say we will be supporting other open source content creators and developers in the mission to create new programs and content and help grow their communities. And to that, I just say good on them. I think this is a good match, Jill.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Good for you, Chris Fisher. Linux Academy has been one of Jupiter Broadcasting sponsors for years. And this makes sense because they both have the same mission of sharing knowledge to the open source community. So it really, really makes sense. And this is one of the reasons why we've seen Chris going to Texas a lot, because that's where Linux Academy is based. And the CEO and creator of Linux Academy, Anthony James, is a wonderful person to work with and passionate about Linux, open source, and diversity. And he actually sponsors the Linux Chicks of LA and has provided support for our meetups and events. And he's really, I'm the one who talks with them and collaborates with them on our events. And he is just so wonderful and so passionate about open source. And so is Chris Fisher. And this is just a really nice fit.
And that's good, you know, for the Jupiter Broadcasting. They've been around for a while. And if they have the extra time and money required to help the Linux Academy and actually teaching things to people out there, honestly, I wouldn't have the patience, but good on you, Chris. Good on you.
100%. Yeah. Nothing but good news coming from that. And they're also talking about open sourcing the workflows that they've put together, which is very interesting. And just keep your eye on it. Bunch of cool stuff is probably going to be coming out of that camp. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's everyone's favorite time. we're going to talk about GNOME news, and we're going to make Pedro read
it. Yes. So GNOME is putting out the new version, GNOME 330 Almedia. And yeah, with this, it's the accent gave it away. This particular version comes with significant improved desktop performance, yes, including being able to run more apps at once without encountering performance issues. Welcome back to 1992, GNOME. How's the how are the 90s treating you? They've improved screen sharing. That one is actually interesting. They've focused on the content. They made a teeny tiny little web browser that just gives you more of the browsing and less of the toolbars and whatnots that you get with your Chromes and your Firefoxes. But it still has that massive bar that GNOME is known for, so you'll have to contend with that. They have improved game support. They have a podcasts app, which honestly, of all the podcasts that they picked for that screenshot, I think I listened to 2 of them. It's Late Night Linux and Ubuntu podcast. It's like, oh, the others are things too. Neat.
Does your issues with GNOME stem far enough to be like, oh, they don't just list all the podcasts I listen to, therefore X?
Well, they could have listed a certain Wednesday podcast that covers regular Linuxy news.
Listen, we got to stay underground, man. I don't want that kind of hate. Jill, since you're not blinded by hatred, do you have some good things to say about GNOME?
Yes, and as the developer of the GNOME user interface had written us several months ago that they were working on the patches to fix the memory garbage collection issue, and in this release they have, and I'm looking forward to testing it and seeing the improved speed, and it's using fewer resources, and you can run more apps simultaneously, like Pedro was saying. Welcome to 1992. Yes. So lots of good new features are coming to GNOME, and it's much needed.
I think one of the things I saw that was kind of interesting is the GNOME Software Manager can now automatically update installed Flatpaks. I mean, that's the thing. It'll do it in just a snap. See what it did.
Nice.
Okay.
But, I'm actually kind of curious, because if they claim that the performance improvements are in fact that good, when it hits the Fedora repos, I will definitely take it out for a fair shake.
I won't.
Yes.
I don't have any. Well, you use KDE, so KDE and GNOME are the same thing anyway. We look forward to your feedback next week. Let's talk about GNOME. GIMP time.
Yeah. So this is GIMP. The GNOME Foundation is spreading the love, and after receiving a $400,000 donation from Handshake.org, sends a $100,000 donation to our favorite image editor, GIMP. And this is really, really wonderful. And kudos to GNOME again for sharing the love. And the GIMP is going to be using this to help upgrade their hardware and run some hackfests and get more people involved in the GIMP. So it's wonderful all around.
Do you think we could get it set up to where it would be able to, where we could draw a circle in GIMP in less than 3 steps?
Yes. Well, I already can do that with the shortcuts, but
no, you can. You got to draw a circle, line to trace, paint tool, then paint the lines.
Yeah. Well,
you can shortcut it all you want. You're still doing 3 steps.
Well, that is true. That is true. Yes, Ben. I can do it quickly, though.
That is my favorite thing to pick on GIMP. I've been picking on it for years, so I know this.
I know.
No, absolutely good on them. $100,000, and especially with the GNOME Foundation handing that bit over, because you're like, but it's only $100,000 can go a long way in the right hands, and we all use GIMP. It's the Microsoft Paint of Linux. So,
yep.
Except it's functional, and you can do more than, I don't know. I don't think I've
use the paintbrush, yes.
Possibly.
But yeah, no, it's GNOME again doing something sensible. But what is going on? What happened?
See, I know what you're really, really worried about, Pedro. You're worried that GNOME's starting to get all this stuff and it's getting lined up, it's getting good, and you're going to run out of... There's going to be another thing in your life you're not going to have unjustified hate for. And that worries you. That keeps you up at night, doesn't it?
I like hating things, okay?
Especially himself. Ladies and gentlemen, Mastodon. It's still a thing. Hey, they're talking about just some updates. They say this is 2.5. It's the 100th released version of Mastodon since the project's inception. That's almost 2 years ago. I didn't realize it had been that long. But the big thing here, they make more pretty. There's more pretty, my words. Better moderation tools if you're running your own instance. Improved database scheme to reduce your disk write operations. So that's cool. What do I say? I've never tried it, so I'm hesitant to say anything negative or positive about it. I like the idea. I like decentralization, federated, but I just never appealed to me, question mark. Somebody sell me on it.
Yeah, it's, I think, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Strider at one point that was trying to get everyone on Mastodon.
Yeah.
And it's another place that I have to set up an account for and check on the regulars. Yeah, I already check Twitter and Google+. That's good enough for me, right?
Yeah. I've been having a hard time because I really want to get into it, but yeah, like Peterson, it's another social networking, and we're already so busy on Twitter and Google Pluses and all the other social networks here at LGC. So it's trying another one. Yeah, I will. I should create an account and actually play with it because I know it is well loved in the community.
Yeah, I mean, there is something to be said about having the bandwidth to actively participate in something like that. But it's stuck around. It's been 2 years. That's the thing. Unlike, you know, like Peach. Anyone remember Peach? That was hot for, what, 73 hours total? And
Oh, yeah. And they did improve their CLI interface. And that's one thing a lot of Linux users love about it is that you can use it in your terminal, which is really awesome.
So what you're saying is a bunch of Linux users are a bunch of hipsters.
Yes. and yes, you can even import custom emojis in it now through the terminal. So I guess that's important to some people. So.
Well, I'm not going to say anything about that one because I run Solus, and Solus has emojis when you run an update. So
yeah.
That's because Ike's fabulous. Quit picking on him. Hey, man, let's get our tinfoil hats out and adjust them.
Yes. So Onion Router 8.0. Yes, the Tor browser 8.0 is now available and is the first stable release based on Firefox 60 extended support release. And this actually worked really beautifully. When I launched it, my older version of the Tor browser, it automatically updated, which was really, really nice. It used to be you had to go and download the new version and delete your old one. But now it auto updates, and web pages, I've noticed, load much faster. And it has a much cleaner UI, a lot like, of course, Firefox 60. And one of the big changes in this version is it loads now with an about page with a nice introduction and tutorials on how to use its unique security features. And this is good for both newbies and experts alike. And
it's not yellow.
Yeah.
It's not that really burned shade of yellow.
Yeah. And I was also impressed that the circuit display detailing its VPN virtual private network IP paths loads much quicker now and is easier to read. Sometimes it take like 30 seconds to load before when you were looking at all the paths the browser was going. And now it's instantaneous. It's really great.
Yeah, they do say that WebGL is broken, and I'm not entirely sure that wasn't on purpose, because WebGL is prone to leaking stuff like IP addresses and DNS requests, so it's probably a deliberate thing until they can fix that. And also, it's the Tor browser. What exactly are you going to be using WebGL in the Tor browser for?
Yeah, exactly.
Browsing Microsoft sites. I don't know. I played with Tor to see that it works. And it's like, that's neat. That does not fit any possible use case. Plus, but I understand people wanting to protect your privacy. Me, I'm just like, take it. Yeah. Don't care. That's the
I have private internet access VPN. I pay for that. So yeah.
You pay for that.
Every time I even think, I mean, yes, like most sane people. I subscribe to VPN, and every time I think about firing that up, hey, look, October's almost here. Speaking of firing up VPNs, reasons. Outside of that, I'm like, wait, doesn't this has to go through my ISP anyway, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
They know you're into VPN.
Yes.
Torex nodes compromised. Tinfoil hats. I don't know. It's cool. It's cool. Good work on them. Good work on them. Let's talk about something that is absolutely insane.
Oh, yes.
Genuinely, I mean, I knew it wasn't April 1st, but I was like, man, is this the Onion or what? No, it's not. This is Computer World. All of this is going to be in our show notes. But the beta release for BOS, I'm not kidding, inspired by open source. After more than 17 years of work, the first beta release of Haiku R1 is at hand, and it looks so... Do I got some
It
images?
looks very BIOS-y.
90s.
Yes.
I just
Very
remembered
Windows
this.
95.
Well, kind of
Not
just...
even Windows 95. It's like a 311 because it has like the centralized thing that you can't get rid of. It's like,
That's true, yeah.
I thought they had some screenshots in here, and they don't. Boo. I'm down with this. I can see this because I absolutely remember tinkering with BIOS like in the late 90s, thinking it's like, oh man, this is a great time to be alive. Not only do I have like one, but I have two viable alternatives to this Windows stink. And they were both actively being developed at that time. I think even BIOS like stayed in recent like development, like up to 2002. A couple of new things in this. They've added support for those newfangled 64-bit CPUs. They have support for this Moon technology for if you have more than 8 CPU cores, which, come on, think about it. 99, 2000, you're like, how many addressable cores do you have? 8? And it's like, you're funny. That's cute.
2.
USB 3. Well, even 2. And be like, that, really? Because Athlon MPs, baby. USB 3 support, SATA support, and support for, this is my favorite part, more than 1 gigabyte of RAM.
Yes.
Because that doesn't seem incredibly anemic in 2018. You're like, what? Can you even get something to boot? You're like, what has a gig of RAM? I don't know, Raspberry Pi. They've even added support for package manager, a package manager. So technically they beat Microsoft on that one. A bit worried that they aren't, because they make a note that they're going to be like, hey, we're working on getting CDs printed to send it. It's like, I don't know about that. Because then again, I mean, this is 2018 and vinyl's the new hotness, kids. And also about as useful as a CD-ROM as an installation medium in 2018.
To be fair, considering, Haiku has those low requirements and it runs on far less than 1 gigabyte of RAM. In fact, if you load it up on a VM and you have a look at how much RAM it's actually using, it uses about 80. That's it.
Yeah.
You can open up a browser and maybe get it to use 100. So yeah, it doesn't. It really doesn't need all those much resources, but it's kind of insane that it's gotten this much support and this much development to the point where even LibreOffice and the Mesa drivers are working. So if you have a laptop kicking around that you can use, definitely give this a spin, because I certainly will.
Yeah, this is actually, as Ben was saying, really, really awesome. Yeah, BOS was the hotness back in the day. You had Windows 95 and you had GEOS, the other OS that I used to love. And so, but yeah, they also actually not only have updated it to work on, of course, modern hardware, but they need people to contribute to the project. And in fact, they've been every few years they show up at scale and are looking for people to contribute to their project. And it's just really cool. It's nice to have another OS that isn't, necessarily Linux, out there in the world and gaining momentum. So,
yeah.
Awesome.
And Linux has too many games to be productive now, so
yeah.
I know.
need something else.
Finally be able to get off Solaris, man. BSD, man. Too much compatibility with Linux games. Can't use that anymore either. Ubuntu. Development update September 2018. This is a thing. It's basically the their theme for Ubuntu in August. And early September has been visual improvements. A few bug fixes tossed in for good measure. Something you might want to check out. For me, it was like, ooh, look, a gang of XFCE updates, hashtag squee. I was very happy about that. We've seen some updates to XFCE Session Manager, Screen Shooter, App Finder, all received updates, and they're actually actively working on trying to make it more pretty. It angers and confuses me that people want XFCE to be pretty. I don't get it. Another one of the things is they've updated the icons for something they call the Shimmer Project. Again, I'm just going to monochrome that stuff because I hate pretty things.
Yeah.
Good to look at, good to see, and I think I can speak for everyone in my camp. Where 414?
Yes. Yeah, I wanted to try it, and it's like, oh yeah, I'll just install it when I get home. Oh no, wait, no, I won't, because Solus doesn't have XFCE or LXD in the repo, so it's, oh... Well, I'll just bring out one of the laptops. There we go. It's working. Cool.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, no, it's XFCE. It's exactly what you'd expect it to be. And the visual improvements are nice. But yeah, I have to agree with Ben, I guess, because that's not what XFCE is there for. It's there for something that works. Doesn't necessarily have to be pretty. You can make it pretty. There's a bunch of themes for it out there already, but
yeah, it's not necessary, but because it just works, and it works really, really well. And in fact, one of the improvements they're going to make is they're going to have a new display profiles menu in the display settings panels, which will allow you to save and switch between various display setups. And this is something I've been waiting for a long time. I'd even written years ago about this to NVIDIA about this and in their NVIDIA settings, because I am constantly changing my monitor layouts from switching to podcasting to creating and rendering animation to 3-monitor gaming. And I often change the positions of my screens. And this will be nice because it'll be simple as one click instead of spending a lot of time configuring. And I know Ven does this all the time too. So this has been a feature I've been really excited about.
What do I spend a lot of time doing? I was adjusting the
video. Switching your display setups for different purposes.
Yeah, but I use the NVIDIA control panel like a sane person.
Yeah, because nowadays that actually works.
Yeah. That's mostly what I'm using. But it's nice to have this option. And the other reason is nice to have this option is because this supports AMD Radeon. So you can, you don't have...
It is something that does need work, though, because I set up on these two boxes. Thanks, Michael. They have the Intel integrated graphics, and... I'm not going to lie to you. XFCE's like built-in session thing to set that up is dog poo. It's functional. You can do like 1 to 2 things. You better like your 2 options because that's all you get.
Yeah.
So, cool. Tell me about it.
Because there aren't enough music players on Linux, now we have another one, the Open Music Player. And looking at that UI, I find myself asking, what's wrong with OpenBox? Well, there's a lot wrong with OpenBox, but with Rhythmbox, but I think it does the same thing, but this is very much pre-alpha, as they say, and so the basic functionality is all you're getting. So basically, right now, you get Rhythmbox. They say they will improve that as time goes on, and of course, they have a little Patreon campaign that you can help if you decide that, yes, you want a music player that isn't Rhythmbox, or you don't use VLC like a sane person, or really any of the other thousands currently available on Linux.
Well, I mean, come on. At the end of the day, man, everything after XMMS is like, hey, look, it duplicates XMMS. In your world, we would still be doing that, right?
XMMS is perfectly functional, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's perfectly functional, but there's nothing wrong with the options, right?
Yeah, the options are great. It's just, it's got to do something, and I guess I'm still waiting for the something on this one because it doesn't have it.
Well, one of the things AMP does is it works on Arch, Pedro. It does.
Yes.
It says it's currently only tested as working on Arch Linux.
Yeah.
But, in fact... has been used on Ubuntu by at least
two people.
This is in the release notes by at least 2 users.
Yeah.
So good luck with that, and more power to you. Something a lot of people use, even though, see, Pedro, here's another distribution, man. Why don't you use one of the existing distributions? What's the difference?
By all means, create a new distribution if it, does something different. Or if you're insane enough to actually try to build it from scratch, like the fine folks at Solus. Started, of course, with Ike as a Debian spin back all the way back in the day. But now it's its own thing, built completely from the ground up. And with their increase in demand, and it is, as a distro, Solus has been growing considerably. So they've decided to upgrade their infrastructure. And they're doing that by basically getting themselves a really nice server with 4 Optron processors to a total of, 32 cores? Yeah, 32 cores and 128 gigs of RAM, 6 terabytes of disk space. So they can get a lot more done with that. And with this, they're also moving the project from Solus project whatever it was, to getsol.us. So they have a neater, tinier URL, and it's actually much easier. Yeah, just go to get Solus. There you go.
You know, here's the thing. You missed the chance. You could have got sol.man. I'm just saying. Joe, what are your thoughts on
Yeah, and I like the fact that the new ISOs from the new repo URLs, the new it is Solus 3.9999. They added a 9 on the end.
Even when it does handstands.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they just keep on tacking 9s. Hopefully, with the improved infrastructure, they can tack another 9 on the end.
All right. Check it out. All about Pentiums.
Yep.
Yes. So I'm very excited about this. Elive is alive after 8 years of hibernation of a stable release. I was really, really excited about this. It's based on Debian 8 Jessie, Linux kernel 3.16, and Enlightenment 0.17.6. And actually, this is still one of my favorite distros of all time, and I have installed it on many of my, quote, vintage computers. I know, Ven, they're old computers, but I have vintage ones, too.
Listen, I feel like it's a bit of a public service. This is something we need to address as a society as whole, is slapping that vintage sticker on it. We were talking before we went live. It's like, I see some people, the same goes for retro. It's like, yes, retro gaming on my YouTube channel this evening with a Wii U. It's like, really, kids? I'm just going to ballpark this. Feel free to disagree with me, as most people do, because it's the right thing to do. I'm going to say 20 years before present day is then that's scraping vintage. Maybe. Yes. To me personally, it needs to be 100% polyester clothing and bell bottoms.
Oh, yes. Well, I do have it installed on one of my 486s, so that does count as vintage.
Yeah, it's they say it was one of those distros that I never tried because they used to have like the please donate button before you could download it. Now they still have the button, but they give you some options. They have the please donate and you'll get the download link right away. You can just download the torrent. That is also
wait a minute. Is there an option to get like the download link like Tuesday?
There is one that you have to wait for 24 hours. You just submit your email and they will email you the link after 24 hours, which for me specifically, that would get me to forget that I had registered my email to get that link. And once I got it the next day, it's like, what the hell's this? Spam.
Listen, man, it's made for old computers. Maybe it takes a few days to get it booted up. Come on, man.
Well, I am kind of curious, and I might actually throw it at the T42 once I get a little bit of time. So
yes, yeah, and for me, one of the reasons I love Elive is it's a beautiful, absolutely gorgeous implementation of the Enlightenment desktop, which is beautiful, fast, and sleek. And you know, I used to use this as my go-to live CD after Knoppix. So Knoppix and Elive were the two live CDs I used all the time to test my builds. And I actually donated to the project and downloaded the Elive 3.0 ISO. I wanted to support him, and I had many years ago, actually. And it actually worked beautifully. I tested it in a VM with low memory and GPU settings, and it worked beautifully. And it has a lot of really cool enhancements. It has the live boot script for older and newer hardware. And it boots, it actually boots with a nice, nice song, which is really, really cool. And it actually has a hotkey keyboard shortcut menu, which is really cool. But one of the nicest features is when you right-click on the desktop now, you get a nice user-friendly menu with all the apps and utilities installed on Elive. And that was really, really nice. That's one area of the Enlightenment desktop that needed improvement. So this definitely helped that a lot.
Right on. Here at LWDW, we're a fan of overkill.
Yes, we are. And if downloading a 7.11 gigabyte torrent for a distro that's meant to run on old computers isn't enough for you, well, how about running a terminal emulator on your GPU? Yes. The whole thing, the entire rendering process for this particular Kitty terminal is run on the GPU. Yeah, it's basically, what if Terminator had a really big thing about NVIDIA cards and decided to just hardware accelerate all the things? And it's what it does. They claim that it starts reasonably fast and everything is much quicker since it offloads everything on the GPU. And if you do have that dedicated GPU on, say, a laptop, it will maybe, hopefully, make things much smoother. Or although I do wonder, I am curious to try what happens once I throw it at, say, a GTX 1080.
Well,
but
here's one of the things I'm thinking about, man. Like 100%. What if you're in a situation to where you don't have enough horsepower and you need to get that terminal window open?
Yeah.
Yeah. They'll do it. It's for me, I like the neat factor. I like the idea, but it's really hard to justify. Unless you really, really like,
When was the last time me and you ever did anything like, yeah, we need to justify this somehow?
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I built a Steam box inside an Xbox 360, so I don't get to say anything.
Yes. Yeah, and I thought, I think this is actually pretty cool. It is, of course, terminals run are low in resources as it is, but it is nice to put it on your GPU instead. And it's got a really nice layout with a lot of nice key commands as well. I did have issues installing it under Ubuntu 16.04. It installed on 18.04 with no problem, and I installed it on Debian with no problem. So, but there are a lot of, in the forums, there were a lot of issues with people installing it on Ubuntu because of the all the dependencies. There's issues, conflicts. So.
All right. Two more bits real quick. We do need to give this a mention. Nano 3.0, it's out and it reads files 70% faster because, man, it was slow to begin with. That dog of a program. And it's out. New major release, open source text editor. You might know it. It's the thing you symlink Pico to. That's it. That's the update. Well, that's what. We'll get a couple of things. Key binding changes, speed handling of the ASCII text has been almost doubled. That's neat. Recognizes more escape sequences. Avoids possible hang during full justify. That's some of the new features. That's the thing. Hopefully, I don't know. How are you? When I'm at Nano, I'm not at my lowest. I haven't truly broken anything, but I've usually nerfed X pretty hard.
Yeah.
Or say you're SSH'd in to a machine that doesn't have a keyboard plugged into it.
That's when I start symlinking stuff. I mean, it's like, well, it depends on what access. I mean, because yes, everything should go to Nano, including Vim and Emacs. So.
Yeah. So much hate mail. So much hate mail.
Just do it. You'll have a good time with it.
Nano is my favorite text editor, but I do love Vim and Vi and Emacs. I've used them all, but it is nice that Nano it loads files 70% faster, so that's always a good thing. The faster, the better.
Yeah, nothing like
100%.
a 70 gigabyte text file.
Yes,
70% faster.
Faster? It's really
You
nice.
don't open a 70 gig, man. You throw anything over like 25, 30 megs. Trust me, I've tried this. It's like, I want to be lazy. I don't want to do a SQL command right now, find and replace. I just want to do it in text editor. You're going to have a bad time.
Yeah.
So, DDGR, man, that sounds awfully like a law or something.
It isn't. It's actually basically the DuckDuckGo equivalent of Googler, which is something that lets you Google for stuff directly from the terminal. Let's say you're trying to figure out something and you're like me and you're pretty lazy and you don't want to reach for the mouse, so you just type Googler and whatever it is you want to Google, and it will give you the results. So this does the exact same thing for DuckDuckGo. If you are privacy conscious and you don't, or you have an irrational hatred for Google, kind of understand you. I don't get you, but I kind of understand you. It's, yeah, you can do the same thing now, just DDGR and whatever search term you would like, and you get the DuckDuckGo results directly from the terminal. Yep.
Yeah, and I thought this was neat because when you do a search, the results are numeric, and you just you type in the number of the search result you want, and then it automatically launches it in your default web browser, which is cool. It's really fast at searching the internet, so that's really neat. And I actually will use this.
Yeah, this is a long list of things. It's like, yeah, it's neat. I'll never use it because I won't. I'll tell you exactly why. Hey, I need to search something. Watch this. Okay, Google.
Yeah.
Hands-free because I'm doing other stuff. It's the thing. They did add the ability to copy pasta into the terminal with this, and it's going to recognize it. So that's the thing. And I say good on them. Fun project, just not my cup of chainsaw. Hey, let's do some shameless self-promotion. If you like this show, you like what we do, not just this show, like the other 620 things that we keep on doing, we can't help ourselves, and you want to support us, head over to LinuxGamecast.com. We got a bunch of ways. We got affiliate links. You guys are blowing us up with that. Always with the Patreons, too. Get some rewards. Get access to our Discord. We got a wish list. We don't use it as the wish list. It's stuff we're going to buy anyway. But if you want to like become a game genie and help us unlock some stuff real quick, that's possible. Newegg affiliate links. Humble. Everyone ordering through that. We get a cut of that. Plus charity. We got it set where charity gets more than us because we're really bad at business. And crypto, bitcoins, and all that fun stuff. Plus, you're going to get your name in the credits. It's awesome. It keeps us ad-free and independent. So we want to thank everyone for that and supporting our nonsense.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, chat room. We love you.
The pie map of America.
Pie map of America.
Okay. It is. It's L.A. is the pie hole.
Yeah. I've been there to the pie hole, yes.
We've all been to the pie hole, Joe.
So let's go down a different kind of pie hole this week. And, wow. This one is... it's interesting. It's not. It doesn't have that wow factor that we've grown used to with some of the Raspberry Pi projects that we've covered here. But stick around. There may yet be more of that. This one is about. Well, Eben Upton wrote a little article saying how he and most of the people in the Raspberry Pi Foundation used to deal with the BBC Micro and other such. Low-profile home PCs back in the day. So he is now that's an actual full-on tutorial about how you can program your own game.
20 repeat. Oh, geez. All right.
In this case, in BeebM, which is the BBC Micro emulator. So it's you can. It gives you the code to get the helicopter game up and running, and he also gives you a little test at the end where you can compare your own code that you've written up to that point with the one that he prints down there. So that's it's really good if you are into like old-timey programming, old-timey basic.
No, Pedro, wrong. Retro programming.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I guess it is. BBC Micro was in the 80s, so I guess that fits.
It does count.
Yeah, but it's also BBC Micro. It's like if your parents didn't like you enough to get you a ZX Spectrum or like... Commodores weren't really popular or available.
Yeah,
and they were wicked expensive.
My dad
or
had a
TRS-80,
64.
Trash 80. That was the thing. Or, well, no. Yeah, there's a bunch of microcomputers that are just junk. But hey, man, you can play with that junk at home with your Raspberry Pi.
Yes.
All right.
And speaking of slightly less junk.
Yes. This is awesome. This is a DIY do-it-yourself Raspberry Pi Pocket projector project. And the videos, there's 2 videos on here, and they're both excellent. I recommend viewing those. All the links are in the show notes, of course. And what's really cool about this projector is that it uses a mini DLP lens, which is really amazing. You remember when that technology was new and the DLP screens were just a really awesome new technology, and they were competing with plasma televisions at the time. And but it's really nice to have a portable projector on your Pi, and because it's great for doing presentations, and no more need to carry around a large monitor, which is really cool. And you can power it separately, so you don't need to have an outlet nearby. And it's actually low resolution, but it gets the job done, and it's really good.
Gets the job done.
Job done.
Here's one of the things. I'm actually shocked to see a video demonstration of open source or Linux, and it's not Big Buck Bunny.
Yeah, Big Buck Bunny. Yeah. Yeah, that was the YouTuber's son he took videos of. That was really cute. And what's awesome, it's only about $120. So that's
$120?
Yeah, the cheapest projector
for a projector
you can buy. Yes.
That's pretty neat. Pico projectors are interesting. They are low light, low resolution, but they're definitely a solution if you need something like that. You're not going to be blowing that up to 100 inches and like, oh, yes, I will make my home theater. With $100 of Raspberry Pi, you will have one of the saddest home theaters known into humanity.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
But hey, 720p for a teeny tiny Raspberry Pi Zero powered projector. That's pretty good.
I'm not knocking it. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying set your expectations accordingly.
Low.
Right.
I actually want to test this at one of our Linux Chicks LA meetings when we do Raspberry Pi installs. So I think this would be perfect to do the tutorials on.
All right. We got a little bit of feedback coming up, Pedro. Tell them how to get
Yes, we do. So if you'd like to submit your own feedback, go to linuxgamecast.com, hit the contact button. There's a little form with a little choosy box at the top. Make sure to pick LWDW, and we'll know that you mean that your message is for this show. Although we could probably glean that from the lack of swear words and whatnot that we usually get on the Saturday show. Well, that's mostly me daydreaming. Please, people, just give me something. Come on.
Coming up first, man, this is something I wanted to cross-pollinate between shows because it was just kind of set in general. It's from Inmang. They write, I know the show notes are written up, but they used to show up in the podcast attic. Well, just the podcast RSS feed to summarize here. Now just the summary shows up at the website, and it goes on to say before, not sure if it's the player for what, check Google Podcast, wasn't one. Yeah, we changed that. You see, some of you might know that I installed a new theme on our website, right?
Yeah, that is all you did.
That's it.
Yeah.
And, thank you, Jordan. I'm getting a lot of mileage out of this.
Hey, new theme.
Here's the thing. We cleaned that up when we did that because we used to just dump everything in there, just the kitchen sink. And that was causing some validation errors with some clients, not with Sailfish, as we learned. However, that was a different thing. But I just wanted to tidy it up. Notes are still in the same place. There's nothing wrong with your particular podcatching device of choice. So that's the thing.
Yeah. And up next we have Mr. Louis C. And he has a bit of a history of hate. I get that it's popular nowadays to hate on GNOME, but has it always been this way? Where did it start and why? Wow, that's an existential question right there.
Yeah. Yes.
So I thought it was popular to hate on all the desktop environments. Yeah. Basically, especially the ones that disregard community bug reports, community input, community suggestions, etc., and decide to do whatever they want instead. You know, like GNOME, KDE, Enlightenment, and quite a few others. But considering you know, lately GNOME has actually been doing pretty good. They did have some really stupid and bullheaded decisions for a while there, but now it seems like they're pedal to the metal in reverse and undoing quite a lot of them and actually listening to what the community is saying for once. So I'm kind of curious to see where they're going with that. When it started happening, well, the latest round of hate was when GNOME 2 was end of life and they started putting out GNOME 3. That was a expletive removed show.
Yes.
It was the internet. It drove a wedge because GNOME at that point, GNOME 2 was the single most widely used EE in all the distros, and GNOME 3 drove a wedge in that community to the point where all the other desktop environments got a lot of share.
Yeah, KDE 4 didn't do the same thing at all. Nope.
Oh yeah, they did. But then again, with KDE, there were people pissed off when they released KDE 3. Then there were people pissed off when they released KDE 4. And to be fair, people are still pissed off with KDE 5 because like it's broken.
People hate change.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I've never had anything. I've been over on XFCE Island since the Genesis, man. I remember GNOME. GNOME to me is it's like, what is my purpose? It was like, well, nowadays it's let's just even backtrack on that, man. That's one of the reasons I was sad to see, what was Ubuntu's thing called? Unity.
Yeah.
I was sad to see that go because I like competition. I like options. And now they're like, oh, we're just going. It's like, ooh, okay, I don't know how that's going to work out. But, you know, with GNOME or with the Unity, which is GNOME 3 based, Gnomity, whatever they want to call it, the ships with like 1804, the only experience I have with that is this is the only thing I know how to do in that desktop environment is get to the search bar, open a terminal, and do sudo apt install XFCE4. And that's it. Yeah. That's the only time I ever see it. So from an outside perspective, what you were saying with some things, Pedro, absolutely valid. But GNOME's going to GNOME. I don't expect them to change. It's all about simplifying stuff and having a lot of people standing around the product going, if it's that simple and devoid of options, why is it so slow?
Yeah, that is it will be my biggest complaint, unless they really do fix it with 330. It's the performance. Why is it so bad?
It's usable.
Come on.
I mean, it's KDE. Listen, you can take slow or you can take crashy, right?
Yeah, no, KDE is actually pretty fast, but KWin crashes a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Jill, pick a side. Yeah. We got to pick teams because.
Oh, well, I have to say I am looking forward to the new GNOME because years ago, you know, that was the default on all the distros and it ran beautifully and fast. So, you know, that's changed over the years with the garbage collection issue and whatnot. But I'm really looking forward to this new version because I think they are listening now to the community about the problems that it's had in the past.
For the next 2, possibly 3 minutes, at which point they will immediately stop listening to the community and do something completely stupid and bullheaded again.
Listen, it's their project. That's how open source works. Hasn't dealing with Strider taught you anything?
Yeah, I guess that's fair, yeah.
Right. Just like, listen.
No wonder he uses GNOME.
It's open to suggestions. Just keep in mind that most suggestions will be ignored. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So, anyway, we need to bounce out of here. I want to thank everyone again for showing up. We're going to cut on some music and roll some credits. How about that? I can look around and figure out.
Hey.
It's the Chat Realm Appreciation Hour where you get to see all your names.
Yes.
Every single one of you.
Yay.
We made it.
Thank you for all our wonderful Patreons.
Who are we thanking for all of our wonderful patrons? The Flying Spaghetti Monster? That was a unique sentence.
No! Thank you to all of our wonderful Patreons and producers and executive producers.
And the fine upsetting cannibals, yes. Remember, if you do decide to cause Ven physical pain, he will forever remember you in Frank's fine upstanding cannibal wall.
It's died down. There's nothing heavy left to get, man.
Yeah.
realm.
We'll see you next week. Keeping you.
Bye.
Bye.